Hey everyone, my name's Walter, and we're back here with more stories and posts from Reddit. Today we're going to be talking about neckbeards, something I used to cover a lot more often. Neckbeards are men who have nerdy interests, and they often cultivate a beard. It's funny because it used to be the stereotype of a goon on Something Awful 15 years ago, right down to the Mountain Dew and Cheeto dust. Anyway, let's get started with neckbeards from Reddit. This story comes to us from Reddit Neckbeard Stories. Wannabe VTuber Neckbeard tells a child their taste in manga is trash. This happened today and I'm still seething about it. I work in a library and we have a patron who is a regular that is a textbook neckbeard. We'll call him Kyle. Kyle has been coming in for years, and while he generally bothers the staff, normally we can just put whatever new anime or manga or comic we have into his hands and push him out the door to get him to go away. Well, recently we got mobile internet hotspots that are free for patrons to check out so they can have Wi-Fi for free. Demand for these things was already through the roof when we first got them, and now that it's summer break, the demand has skyrocketed. Kyle was one of the first people to check out these devices, but naturally his demand has increased, and with the fact that they're on a first-come, first-served basis, lately he hasn't been able to get one. This has led to him hanging around the desks, harassing staff and loudly complaining about how we don't have any, even though there is literally nothing we can do. He keeps telling us he's trying to become a Twitch VTuber so he can start making money. He is unemployed and currently collects disability, while his mother, who is insanely rich, pays for his rent. Which now is a good time to mention this guy is nearly 40, and keeps moaning that without the free Wi-Fi he can't start his business, or that homeless people are stealing the Wi-Fi and humanity is doomed. He has been doing this for the past week and has already had security called on him once for throwing a tantrum when we didn't have any. One day he even cried that he would have to retire from Twitch and get a job so he could afford to pay for his own Wi-Fi if none came back in soon. It took all my willpower to keep myself from yelling, "Please do!" Well, I certainly know what I'm reminded of. That one news report where they show a bunch of kids playing Pokemon cards and puzzle over it in the most boomer way possible. And in the middle of all those kids is an adult Chris Chan playing Pokemon cards with them in a horrendous Ash cosplay. Chris has somehow gotten less mature since then. I should talk about it sometime. Today he was doing the same thing, hanging around at the desk, loudly complaining, when a nice old lady came up to me with her grandson looking for the next installment of the manga Death Note. I told them that it was checked out, but I knew we had a new anthology book set in that universe which he could read in the meantime until it came back in. We went over to the section and picked out the book, when the boy asked very nicely if I could help him pick out one more. I happily smiled and told him sure, and after scanning the section to see what we had checked in, he picked out the first volume of Attack on Titan. He told me and his grandma a lot of his friends said it was really good, and I said the same thing as I'd read it before and liked it too. Grandma asked if we could check it out back at my desk, which typically we wouldn't do, but I figured what the heck, it's just 2 books. We all go back to my desk and Kyle, like a fly to a turd, is still there, telling my coworker of his Wi-Fi-less VTuber woes. When I started to check out the grandma and grandson's books out, Kyle leans over to see what books they have, sees Attack on Titan, and loudly says, "Wow, you picked that? That series is so stupid and bad. Why did you pick something that dumb?" Suddenly, all the excitement in that kid's eyes for his books just left him. It was heartbreaking to see. When that kid slowly hung his head, my stomach sank. I finished checking the books out, and the grandma steered her grandson with his books out the door. As soon as they walk away, my coworker and I give Kyle the biggest dressing down I think we've ever dished out. What he did was extremely rude and inconsiderate, to which he tried to say that he had autism and didn't know any better. My coworker countered that autism is no excuse for being an asshole, much less to a kid. If they wanted his opinion, they would have asked for it, but they didn't. He then asked, "Oh, so my opinion is wrong? I'm just doing what critics do." We told him there is a difference between being a critic, having an opinion, and being rude. What he said to that kid wasn't criticism, it was an opinion they didn't want or ask for. Then I decided to flip the tables and ask him how he would feel as a kid if I, an adult, went up to something he liked and was excited for and said, "That's stupid and bad." He told us he got that all the time as a kid because he grew up with 4 brothers, to which both my coworker and I cut him off and yelled, "Then you should know better." After that he went silent for a moment. He looked at me, said that cut deep, and that those words hurt his feelings. I then pressed him again by answering back, "How do you think that child feels after you said that to him? I don't blame him if he never wants to come in this building ever again." He then quietly muttered that he had a headache and left. My coworker and I both agreed that Kyle had stepped way over the line, and in separate emails alerted our upper management chain, who have been extremely lenient with Kyle in the past due to his disability. I then went and warned the other departments, who he has also been harassing about the Wi-Fi boxes, and other things, like how our teen department doesn't have insert obscure 1970s out-of-print manga here. I told them that he is a 40-year-old man at the end of the day, even if he acts like a baby, and that he can get his manga, but then he needs to get out, as that space is not for him, it's for kids, just like the one he yelled at. Next, I went over to circulation and security to let them know the same thing. They're absolutely horrified, but agree to up security patrols and to keep an eye on Kyle while he's in the building. Management gets back to me, tells me I did the right thing and that they'd be meeting to discuss what to do. In the meantime, they tell me I can tell him to leave or refuse to serve him if he continues to behave in this way. I just feel terrible for the kid. I hope his grandma took him out for ice cream or something afterwards. He couldn't have been any older than 12 or 13 and just had this adult greasy neckbeard yell loudly about how something he liked was stupid in public. I really hope this doesn't put him off reading. His grandma is a really sweet old lady who is super supportive, and the fact that he's reading at an adult level is amazing. Hey, wasn't he just being the comic book guy? I feel like I'd have to laugh seeing it in public. Don't expect this to be the last you'll hear of Kyle. I'll update or post a part 2 after management has their meeting to decide what will happen. Because I don't think it'll be pretty, no matter their decision. Update: management and security were collectively horrified at what happened. In the end, they settled on a suspension for Kyle for 1 week, although management made it clear that I now basically have a toss him out of the building privileges post-ban, as I'm the one who deals with him the most. Anyway, Kyle came in today, and I guess front desk didn't catch him. So when he came up to me to begin the guilt trip / whine, I told him that he should go to the front desk first, as he had an issue with something he had on hold. Obviously this was a lie, I just needed for him and security to cross paths, which he caught on to when the front desk told him he had no items to pick up. Anyway, him and the head of security start talking and, yeah, there's no remorse. He didn't learn a thing. He still pulls the autism card and the I have a bad home life card, etc. Head of security comes back to me and tells me, yeah, he's now gone for 2 weeks. Okay, that story did not fill up enough time for a video. I guess let's read another one. Otherwise I'll just evolve into Lucas Werner posts. Well, we'll read one. A little girl ran up and gave me some raisin oatmeal cookies at the food bank today. Makes you want to have kids, kinda. Please don't, Lucas. Anyway. Finding out an old friend from high school is a neckbeard and a creep. So some background. I graduated college, and because I had trouble finding a job, I joined the army as an infantryman. And for 3 to 4 years I didn't have a lot of contact with my old friends from high school. Most of them got regular jobs after high school, where me and the neckbeard I'll talk about in the story went to college. But the one thing we always used to do was play D&D after school, so that was the one thing we all agreed was awesome. Well, after I finished my enlistment in the army, I moved back to my hometown, and I ended up getting a same job at the company some of my old friends work for. And we decided for old time's sake that we were going to have a D&D session. For the purpose of this story, we'll call my former friend Brony Beard. Hey guys, let's invite Brony Beard over. We haven't seen him in a while. We're all excited because we're getting the party back together. We invite Brony Beard and it all seems fine. He came in with a t-shirt with Twilight Sparkle on it from My Little Pony, which we're not fans of, but we don't mind if people are into it. But he also seems different from when we last met him. He's got the Jeffrey Dahmer glasses, he smells like 5 days of BO, and he's still got the acne of a 16-year-old. Now I had heard about neckbeard traits, but this seemed far too good to be true. So the night goes on, and he seems quieter than he used to be, but the D&D session goes well. Then Brony Beard offers to have D&D at his place. We all agree and set the date for the next session. Well, the day comes and we all head over after work to Brony Beard's place. It looks normal enough, nothing suspicious, but what we saw still haunts me to this day. We enter his living room and we see the table set up for D&D, but what caught my attention out of the corner of my eye was the display case he had, full of Bad Dragon dildos and My Little Pony figures. Now I figured, okay, I'm just imagining things. There is no way that display case is full of that. So I closed my eyes really quick, like a little kid trying to pretend there's no monsters in the dark. Only in this case, there were monsters in the dark. And I opened my eyes, and sure enough, the amount of animal dildos was on display just out in the open. I turned to Brony Beard and say, dude, why do you have those on display? At first I thought he was going to freak out and try to cover it up. Instead he just smiled and said, because I like them. Which, look, I try to be tolerant of all people's lifestyles, but some things are just too weird. If you want to have a porn collection, you don't keep it out in the open. To quote John Caparulo, you hide it in the shame drawer. So we try to enjoy this D&D session, but it's hard to enjoy it with those giant dildos just in the room with us. So now it was our turn to be the quiet ones. Needless to say, when we finished the session, we agreed to have it at my house next. But then Brony Beard didn't show up for the next few sessions, but we remembered we were still friends with his ex-girlfriend, so we invited her instead. And, well, we found out the reason why they broke up. Turns out he was really trying to pressure her into doing things she wasn't comfortable with. And when she refused, he cheated on her with both men and women. But then when she dumped him, he only got worse. Now here's the weirdest part. Brony Beard told his own mother that the reason why she broke up with him was because of his taste in porn. And he told his own mother about the kind of porn he was into. So needless to say, we never invited Brony Beard back, and last we heard he moved to Colorado with his fuckboy. Edit, I have no idea what happened to him in college that turned him weird. I mean, college was a weird time for me too, but I was a shut-in who just studied. Yeah, so if you're not from the old internet like I am, Bad Dragon is a company mostly known for making gigantic dildos of animals. It's hard to believe, but some people are actually like this. I'm not here to kink shame, but the issue is him rubbing it in everyone's faces. I feel like one of his fetishes is forcing other people to know about his fetishes. I can only imagine what he was trying to get his girlfriend to do, but I'd rather not imagine such things. I want to make out with a beautiful woman and not have to read a bunch of Bible verses to do it. If I see French toast in my French toast instead of Jesus, am I going to burn in hell? What if I don't see Muhammad or Vishnu either? Will I burn in their hells? Do you see the others not yours as fairy tales? Why? Do you see the problem I'm having with your mythical things? I think more white guys should date brown-skinned women, because they're generally progressive, but also like to cook. Lucas just invents his own stereotypes sometimes. Anyway, I think that's about all the time I have for you today. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you have something to say about today's stories or about me, let me hear it in the comments. I'll be reading them while the video's new. And if you're new here, consider subscribing for more of the same, and actually more Lucas in the near future. And big thanks also to my awesome patrons, who help me by supporting me more directly over on Patreon. It's a huge help sometimes. I'll be back soon, like tomorrow probably. Have a great day, everyone, and remember that your favorite comic is stupid. Now where's my Wi-Fi?